Hi guys, a very warm welcome to our live session on breaking and busting myths about IELTS. So I am Amitansh, a senior manager at Leverage Edu, and we have on the other end Purti Chawla, who is our very own IELTS expert. So so we have come up with this session wherein we understand that a lot of students who are planning to go abroad, right, or looking out for immigration services abroad, and they need to go through IELTS, and there are certain questions and frequently asked questions rather that keep coming onto our forums, coming onto our Q&A forums that we have. So thing is, we have come here, we have got this session, and we have got our very own expert live so that we can bust myths around IELTS, right? That keep us troubled on how to plan our IELTS, when to attempt our IELTS, and there are certain questions that we'll be targeting and answering them. So Purti, over to you.
Okay, I see we have some people here joining. Today we are going to talk about IELTS. My name is Purti. I'll be taking this session for you. So I'm sure since all of you are here, you want to know more about IELTS and you're planning to probably say, start your international study journey abroad, or you want to immigrate. So we'll be talking about 10 biggest myths that we have around IELTS, and probably that is stopping you from taking this exam or thinking about it or going for it. So I'll talk about those things and tell you the truth about these myths, bizarre things that I've heard around IELTS. And I'm sure that's stopping some of you or creating confusions in your mind around it for IELTS. So sit back, sit tight, and I'm sure that by the end of the session, you'll have a more clarity about the exam, and you'd understand that all these rumors floating around IELTS, and they are nothing but rumors, and you can very easily and confidently then take the exam. So today we'll be talking about these myths, but just to start you off with the some insights into what we do. So Leverage Edu, we are a university admission counseling service. If you guys are planning to study abroad and start your international study journey abroad, you can definitely come to us for your applications. So everything that is there around the applications, if you're not sure of which courses are right for you, or which universities or countries you should apply to, when to apply, how to go about your applications. If you're sure about the courses, then how to go about it. What are things that you need to prepare for the applications, anything and everything with it. Apart from that, also help with your SOPs, your LORs, preparation for the interview, and even after the admission, so post-admission services, say for loans or accommodation and scholarships. Okay, so we just launched this, scholarships worth 5 crores. So be sure to check that out on the website. And a part of this, entire journey for going abroad, and a part of your application is taking the IELTS. So IELTS is language testing system. It's a test which checks your language ability, and specifically English, because you're planning to go to a English speaking country or native country. So today we are talking about 10 things which might create confusions in your mind. So I'm, without further ado, let's just kickstart this session. And I am going to take them up one by one, and I'll tell you the truth about them. So let's start with the first thing, which is that IELTS is harder than other proficiency tests. So I don't know how many of you have heard this, but there are some people, there are some students who think that this is a tougher exam than other proficiency tests. Well, no. To give you a very clear-cut answer, not really. See, the exam is testing your language ability, right? There are different modules, different kinds of questions that they're asking you and checking you on different criteria, assessing you on different criteria. There's no pass or fail here. So the difficulty level really depends on, let's say your language skills. So if you feel that, you have a strong hold of English, or you don't have an issue with grammar or vocabulary, you are confident, you are flexible, you have a good command over the language. So be it any test, nothing would be really difficult for you, right? Or on the other hand, if there are issues with some of these areas, so then you would find probably say that part of the test difficult. So it's actually very individual, it's very subjective. And if you feel that you're lacking in certain skills in English, so that would be affecting, any other exam also that you're taking. So it's not just IELTS as such. Even if you go for, this is why students go for other exams, because they feel IELTS is difficult, but others are not. That is not true at all. This is a myth really in its truest sense. If you're prepared well, if your language skills are great, if you have operational command over the language, you can take up any test really, and it would be a cakewalk for you. It won't be difficult at all. So it's not true that IELTS is difficult. Of course, there are different, let's say kinds of questions that come up, and they're testing you in certain areas. So you've got to be prepared for that. You have to, prepare for those questions. But in general, you'd also have to upskill or upgrade your language ability, and no difference between the, let's say, difficulty level of any of these proficiency tests. It could be any, and you would do just as well if you are confident in your abilities. Okay, then another one, and a very common one, I've heard this a couple of times actually, is that if you take IELTS in, let's say, a tier 2 or tier 3 city, then you are likely to get a higher band. No, absolutely not. This isn't true at all. See, IELTS is not, it's not a biased test, okay? So there's no special attention given to you or some sort of leniency shown in certain parts of the country. And for, let's say, tier 1 cities, that's not true. So the test prepared is the same throughout the country, throughout countries as well. Global test it is, remember that. So one test prepared could be the same for others. There are, of course, variations as well, but it's not dependent on cities at all. So, let's say you're planning to take it in Delhi or Bangalore or Mumbai, you'd get the same level of questions that you would get in some other smaller cities or towns. Everyone, for speaking section, all of the examiners, the interviewers, they are tested, they are trained in the same manner. And they're not giving you a band score on, from their own perspective. They have certain detailed criteria given in front of them, and they are checking you based on that. So there's no difference in, let's say, taking it in a major city or sub-level cities. It doesn't matter. The kinds of tests, the way they are checking you, assessing you, everything's the same. So there's another myth busted for you. So don't, think of, if I'm going to take the test in some other city, I'll score higher. That's not true. Focus on upscaling your language skills and getting better there instead of all of these. Okay, then there's another one which says, and this is new, that computer-based test is more challenging, or let's say difficult, than the paper-based test. Well, again, this is a rumor, this is a myth, this is not true at all. In fact, you'd see that some students actually prefer the computer-based test because, they prefer typing, they prefer marking their answers side by side. They don't want to sit in a big hall full of, say, 50, 100, 200 students together. They're more confident, they're more comfortable in sitting with 20 students or 15 students in a room and typing their answers around. So the kinds of questions you're getting, the time, mostly for most sections, and how they're assessing you, the criteria, everything's the same. So like when it comes to, let's say, the first module or skill, which is listening. So, you get 30 minutes to listen to the audios, and then for paper-based test, you're going to get 10 minutes of transfer time in the end. So, to transfer your 40 answers into a single sheet of paper that they give you. And this time is not there for the computer-based test. But then you don't need it, right? You don't need to transfer the answers anywhere because you've already marked everything on the screen. And after 30 minutes, they'll also give you 2 minutes for checking the answers. So that's when you can check for any typing errors or any kind of mistakes that you might have made for spelling or grammar or any such things. But this fact that you're not getting the 10 minutes is irrelevant. It's redundant. You don't need it. It's not a necessity. The answers automatically get saved, and you can always go back and check them. If you want to change the answers, you can easily do that. So you don't need that extra time. And for other sections, you have reading for 1 hour, writing for 1 hour. So it's absolutely the same. You don't need extra time, and there's no difference at all. In fact, I would say that there are some pros actually to both paper-based and computer-based tests. So like looking at the time appears on the screen when you're taking the test on the computer for reading, writing. So you know exactly how much time you have taken and how much time is left. You don't have to look at the watch, the clock on the wall again and again. You can't wear a watch, by the way, in any of the tests. So in some cases, there are some benefits of taking it on the computer. You get your results pretty quickly if you are in a hurry to take it. So, you can take the computer-based test as well. You'll get it in the result in 3 to 5 days only. Whereas for paper-based test, it takes about 2 weeks, 10 to 14 days, they would take at least to give you your result. And editing on, for the writing module is, relatively easier for the computer-based test. You can just delete, edit, copy, paste, cut, paste, also stuff. Whereas for paper-based test, you'll have to, erase and write it again. But having said that, again, there are people who prefer paper-based tests. So always play by your strengths. Don't think that, some of your friends or somebody else is taking some kind of exam, so you'd also go for that. While you're practicing, you can try out tests for both the kinds of ways of taking the test, paper-based, computer-based, and then you can decide for yourself. When you enroll with us for practice, so we also provide you help and guidance and how to go about preparing for IELTS. So I'm also going to share both paper-based tests, computer-based tests with you, so you can make an informed decision when it comes to which is more preferred or an easier way to go about for you. But there's no real difference in the difficulty level for paper-based test or computer-based test. Okay, then it says, I think somebody has also posted it on the comments that IDP is, let's say, more lenient in terms of marks than British Council. So again, like I said, these are, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but they are all shareholders for the IELTS tests, IDP, British Council, and Cambridge Assessment. So they prepare the test, and these two are there for making sure that, everybody's taking the test, and there's no difference actually in between them. You can just, select dates or the test centers which are available near to you, and it's more convenient for you to take the test. Because, you would feel that some people say that British Council is easier. Others say that, no, IDP is better. So everyone has their own experiences, but actually in reality, there's no difference at all. So I would always suggest that you check out both the websites when you're booking the test, and the date which is more convenient for you, or which is more nearer to you, the location of the test center, choose that. Don't think about that one is easier than the other. How can they be? They're equal shareholders in the entire test. Okay, so, and why would, they would tarnish their name in order to give you this kind of leniency, or let's say they'll up your score. It's not that. It depends on your language ability, and all the tests, they are marked on certain criteria. Listening, reading is, if you're writing the answer correctly, you're getting the score. So, who can possibly make a lot of changes in that? If you're getting the right answers, you're getting the score. For writing also, they're checking based on criteria. For speaking also, the entire exam is recorded in both test centers. That's the same for IDP or British Council. They check the audio recording, they listen to it later and then assess you, give you the score on the descriptors provided. So if you're doing all of that, nobody can stop you from getting a good band. So it's absolutely a myth that, there's a difference. It is not. Don't confuse yourselves or get scared because of all these things. It's a myth, absolutely. Okay, then there's this new test in the pandemic that they started, which is the IELTS indicator. And some people think that that's easy than the other ones. Actually, no. The kinds of questions, the level of the exam is the same. So there's no difference at all. IELTS indicator is only that you don't have to, visit a test center and take the exam, either paper-based or computer-based. You can sit at the comfort of your home and take this. So even speaking is done over, online, virtually with the proctor or the examiner sitting on the other side. But, for this exam, general training students, those who are applying or those who wish to apply for PR, this is not for them. This is only for academics. So if you're planning for higher studies, you would have to check with your university if they are accepting this, IELTS indicator score or not. Only if they say yes. Every university has certain rules about it. So you'd have to personally check with each university that you're planning to apply to that whether or not they're accepting this score. If they are, then definitely I'd say go about it. You have to sit in a room without any interruption, with a good internet connection, and you can take all the 4 modules. But there's no difference in the timing. There's no difference in how they're going to assess you. There's no difference in the kinds of questions you're getting. So everything's the same. It's just that the way of taking the exam is different. So it's not easy. It's of the same level. And then there's this condition if the exam, universities will accept your score. So always look into it and then only decide if you want to take this exam or not. All right, so moving on to the next myth, and which is if I write more in writing, I'm going to score a higher band. Well, this is absolutely not true. They've given you a certain, word count, a minimum requirement that they ask for, which is 250 words for the essay and 150 words for task 1 in writing. So if you exceed this, then that's okay. But it does not mean that if you write more, they're going to give you a higher band, because they're not checking you on the content. They're not checking on what you're writing, but how you're writing it. So they are very, strict 4 criteria based on which they will assess your writing. If you write less than 250 words or 150 words in task 1, then you'll be penalized definitely. So you will get a lower band, yes. But if you write more, you'll get a higher band. Absolutely not true. You have to focus on the quality of writing rather than quantity. How many words are you writing? If you write, even if you fulfill, let's say, you're writing 260 words, you just exceeded the word limit. That is also okay. If you're writing 300, if everything is around the question based on those 4 criteria, then it is fine. Otherwise, whatever extra you're writing, that might cost you instead of helping you out. So don't think that if you're writing more, but that is not on point, or grammatically there are errors, you're not addressing the question, so you'll get better score. Definitely not. You won't. They're very, very strict with writing, and you have to carefully, diligently, thoroughly follow the descriptors. As long as you're fulfilling the word limit, that's okay. Even if you go higher up to, let's say, even 350 words, then it's okay. But as long as it's on the topic. So there's that. Okay, then there's this thing around the speaking section. And it says that, I should fake an accent if I have to get a higher band. No. Remember, this is a global universal exam, right? So don't just think about like our Indian accent. There are people, let's say from China or other countries, non-native speakers who are also taking this exam. In fact, an Indian accent, I would say, is a very neutral one, so easy to understand as compared to, let's say, a South Korean or a Russian accent, right? These are heavily influenced by the mother tongue. Whereas for Indians, that is mostly not the case. So go with, giving out natural, free-flowing answers, using vocabulary to the topic, using a range of words, idioms, grammatical structures, tenses, and not hesitating too much, not self-correcting yourself. There are no repetitions. You're paraphrasing the question. Focus on all of these things. And, when it comes to pronunciation, the most important thing that you have to remember is that there is clarity in your understanding. Of your understanding. You are effortless to understand. Your speech is clear. That's the most important thing that you have to take care of. You definitely don't have to fake an accent. In fact, the examiners are trained to know if you're doing something or that. So go with the neutral accent and focus on the important parts of the test rather than this. It's definitely a myth. Okay, then there is this another one which says that, if sometimes when students take the exam and they're not getting, let's say, their desired result in one or the other skills, and they think that, if they send it for rechecking, then they're definitely getting a higher grade. I'd say this might happen also, but this is not necessarily true. It's not like every time you send it for rechecking, they're going to increase your band score and send it back. So there's definitely a fee, first of all, that you need to give. You can either send your entire exam, all the 4 modules for checking, or 1 or 2 skills, whichever you want. But don't expect that they're going to definitely increase your score. That's not the case. I would suggest, if you're really, really confident that, you've done everything right, everything according to the descriptors, and still you got a low band, lower than your expectation, then also, think about it for a couple of more times and then send it for rechecking. But don't send it in this hope that if you send it, they're going to increase your band. That is not true. And there are cases where the band is increased up to, let's say, a 0.5. But those are rare cases. And again, if you're really confident, then only do it, otherwise don't. Okay, so then is another one. I should keep practicing only IELTS sample questions. Well, this is a nice strategy to employ, because then you know that, this is because you need to know these are the kinds of questions that you're going to get. This is the difficulty level. These are the question types which I'm going to get. But remember that this exam, especially in like writing or speaking, where you are producing language, you're not just marking answers based on what they have given. The better your language ability is, the more stronger hold you have over the language, the higher your band is going to go. So apart from the, practicing mock papers and past exam papers, for instance, also focus on fulfilling or enhancing your ability otherwise. So, from reading or speaking to people or watching series, movies in English, speaking to native speakers, getting guided practice from Leverage Edu, all of these things, of course, is going to make you get closer to your higher band that you are trying to get. But don't just rely on only practicing the mock papers. Try to develop your English skills as such overall. So the last myth is that reading is the most difficult module in the exam. Well, like I said in the beginning, the level of difficulty depends on your ability, your language skills. So you'd see some students saying that writing is or speaking is, because probably they are not so confident or they need to hone their skills in that particular area. So the difficulty level actually depends on your ability rather than, let's say, a section otherwise or the exam as a whole. So just try practicing for all the skills all together. If you are really good at writing or you're really confident with speaking, so you can focus on other skills more. But all in all, there's no different difficulty level for all these four. It depends on your ability and how much you've practiced and what sort of language skills you possess. So it's all relative, it's subjective, it's individual. So there you go, guys. I'm sure these 10 myths, things, rumors floating around IELTS, which I hope I've provided clarity on. So now you can not just think about all of these and focus on, your practice and enhancing your skills and taking the exam and starting your study abroad journey. Okay, the fees of the IELTS, well, currently it's 14,700 INR. That's the price for it. Is IELTS indicator valid for UK visa? No. No, they do not accept it as of now. So if you're planning for the same, I'd recommend you to wait if certain centers around your house are not open yet. But it is not applicable for UK visa. Okay, so I feel like my English level is good. How long should I keep studying for this exam? Okay, so a very nice question. If you feel that you feel confident in your ability, so you can try practicing and taking up the mock test. You'll understand what kind of questions are they giving you in the exam. And if you feel that while practicing, you are getting, say, 8 or 7.5 or to 8.5 in between this bracket, then I'd say you are ready for the exam and you can take it as soon as the next date is available. So then don't wait for too long. Just have, like, let's say a couple of days of practice, could be a month, could be a couple of weeks, and then you can do it. But definitely look at the kinds of questions that they provide you in the exam so you don't get any shockers in the real test. Okay, Shubham, yes, there are tests available online on the official website, a full test, so you can definitely practice with that. And like I said, if you feel that you're, it depends on what your target score is. If you feel that you want a band 7 and you're getting, say, 6.5 or 7 in practice, then I would recommend that you need to practice a bit more, because there are certain things on the test day which can affect your score. But if you're getting around 8 while practicing, then you know that you definitely have an upper intermediate or advanced level in English, and you can go for the test easily. Well, definitely, see, in IELTS, there are 2 kinds of skills which go hand in hand. It's your English ability, and then there are test taking skills. So you would understand that, yes, definitely a prerequisite for getting a good band is your command over the language. But these tips and strategies basically would help you to how to solve the questions under IELTS exam conditions. So for instance, how to go about getting your answers in 60 minutes for reading, or how to organize or strategize your speaking answers or writing answers. So both of them go hand in hand. I think you'd benefit not just from your ability, but the test tips and strategies as well. So you'd be also happy to know that Leverage Edu provides these live sessions and preparation for IELTS. It's a 1-month long course, and you can please enroll, and we'll have these live sessions where I'll tell you the strategies, I'll give you the material to practice and study, and I'll give you, more importantly, feedback on and tell you about your strengths and weaknesses, areas of improvement, so that you can reach your band score. So I'm putting the website and the phone number here on the chat box. Amitansh, if you can, you guys can check it out. There are some free videos available as well on the website, and please go ahead and do it, and you can call us up and know about the classes as well. Well, yes, for life skills, they're going to check, only 2 skills. So if they say that you only need that, then definitely go for it instead of the full exam. But you'd have to check. It's all individual case. No, Lehan, it's not that the case. There are certain centers open, but hardly a few. So I'd ask you guys to like wait for, let's say, a couple of days more, and they are going to open up soon. Some centers are there, so you can always keep a check on your city, and you can find out if they are open in your area or not. Yes, Aman, the Cambridge material is the best possible material that you can get and practice with for IELTS, because that's the level of questions and the structure and pattern of the question that you'll get. So that is something that you would want. The more you do, the better it is. Online, yeah, Len, I actually addressed this. This is also one of the myths, that the online exam is easier. It all depends on your ability. If suppose somebody who's not good at typing, so of course it's going to be a hell of a journey for him or her, right? So then paper-based would be preferable for them. So if you feel that, typing and working with the computer, scrolling up and down is your thing, so then it's going to be easy for you. But otherwise, there's no difference in the kinds of questions that you're getting or how they're checking you. All of that is the same. Okay, then guys, thank you so much for joining this session today. So let me just reiterate and remind you that every day at 6 in the evening, this time, Leverage Edu experts are there to address your queries. So anything that you have around admissions, courses, countries, visas, you can all come to the live sessions and listen to the experts and get your queries settled. And for IELTS, you can also visit the website and check out the free material. And if you want to enroll in the batches, I definitely ask you to do that so you can get more information about it. So that is it from my side. Keep watching this space. Thank you so much. I'll see you again next time. Thank you.